Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 13 in the National Football League, or as I have dubbed it, Showdown Weekend, aka Line in the Sand Sunday in the National Football League. Every single matchup in Week 13 to me had a meaning more so than just trying to go out and get a win. It pitted two teams against each other that were out to prove something or needed to prove something versus the team that they were playing against in that football game. And this Jets matchup versus the Miami Dolphins, family business, AFC East style, was no different on Showdown Sunday. I looked at this game, 2 5-6 football teams battling it out, trying to give themselves a leg up, not only in their own division, but in that AFC wildcard race. And if you're looking to try to get into the playoffs, you got to beat teams that are vying for those same last couple of spots, or in this case in the AFC, that last playoff spot, that sixth and final seed in the AFC playoffs. You got to beat those teams that are trying to get in just like you. And this was a game that was essentially, I won't say an elimination game because the Jets and the Dolphins haven't played each other yet. They have two matchups versus each other in these final 5 weeks of the season. And so this is a big game, however. I mean, if you're the Jets, you're at home, you need to win this game. And I had already talked about the Jets and how I didn't like this roster. I thought they were going to be a lot worse off than they have been this season. And kudos to them for finding ways to win games. But I don't think this is a very talented roster, especially offensively. You look at Geno Smith and his struggles. I picked the Jets in this game, and the only reason I did so is because I felt like Ryan Tannehill had been sacked so many times this year, and the Jets, their front seven, that front three is as dominant in this league with Coples, Richardson, and of course Muhammad Wilkerson. And so I said, hey, if they can get pressure, which I thought they would be able to do in this game, if they can get pressure on Ryan Tannehill, and forget about the run. The Jets aren't giving up the running game to the Dolphins. The Dolphins struggled to run the football against Carolina the week previous. I said, there's no way the Jets are giving it up on the ground. So that's going to make the Dolphins one-dimensional, which is going to allow the Jets to pin their ears back and go after Tannehill, something that other teams have done with a lot of success this season. Give me the Jets. Geno Smith won't have to do a lot. They won't ask him to go out and win. They'll just ask him not to lose the game because the defense will be so dominant. Give me the Jets. That was my thinking going into this Showdown Sunday matchup in the Meadowlands. But I was sadly mistaken because the Jets aren't a good football team. Man, the Jets are bad offensively. Man, this team stinks offensively. And this game, it kind of drove that point home. I know the Jets aren't a good offensive team. I know that. I know the Jets aren't a top-notch offense. I already know that. But I said, they'll go home. They'll run the football with Chris Ivory and Bilal Powell. They'll do enough. They'll ask Geno Smith and his role to be minimized in this game. They'll only allow him to throw 14 passes or so, and they'll run the football, and they'll stay mistake-free for the most part. Maybe Geno Smith will uncork one and throw one pick or so, but they'll be fine. This defense will dominate. They'll win this game somehow. I don't know, 12-9. 16-10, something along those lines. They'll find a way to win. This was one of the worst offensive performances of the season in the National Football League. The Jets were anemic. And if not for the Dolphins coming out and making mistakes early, this is a blowout from the jump. If you didn't watch this game, and you just watched the bottom line and you were looking at the score as the game progressed, you would have thought the Jets were playing solid football and they were standing toe-to-toe with the Dolphins. If you watch the game and you watch the first half, you know that this is a totally different story and that the Dolphins dominated this game from start to finish. Now, the score at the end of the game indicates that the Dolphins dominated this game from start to finish, but the score should have been a lot worse. I mean, the Dolphins dominated time of possession in that first quarter. They had a long drive that was very productive, and Tannehill and the company get down the field. They throw a wide receiver screen, and Charles Clay gets called for offensive pass interference that sends them back 10 yards. On the very next play, Tannehill gets sacked, and they ultimately have to settle for a long field goal. They were essentially on the doorstep of scoring a touchdown. Then you get the offensive pass interference. Then you get the sack on the next play. Then you get the long field goal attempt for Khalid Sturgis, who misses it. And so you have a long, 13, 14 play drive that eats up half of the first quarter clock, and you get nothing to show for it. So Dolphins dominating the first quarter. They get the Jets off the field immediately, get the football back, move it down the field, and Tannehill is hit as he's throwing the football. It goes straight up into the air. It's picked off by Antonio Cromartie. So you got two mistakes, or essentially two possessions that are mistake-filled at the end that cost this Dolphins football team, who was moving the football right down the field on this Jets defense. And this Jets offense had done nothing to calm this football game down from the standpoint of giving their defense a rest and allowing this Dolphins offense to cool off on the sidelines while the Jets offense, tried to matriculate the ball down the field and start to get some rhythm and flow and try to get back into this game. They weren't doing anything offensively. Geno Smith was a nightmare in this game. The running game got off the ground at some point in this game, but again, it wasn't enough. You can't be one-dimensional and have that one dimension only be on the ground again. As Juan Jaworski once told me, and a wise man, as I like to say, once told me, points come through the passing game. And if you can't throw the football, good luck trying to run it down a team's throat for 4 quarters. It usually doesn't work. Even if that team can't stop the run, it's usually tough to get the football in the end zone, running it all the way down the field, and then getting it into the end zone without having anything go wrong, without having a holding penalty or false start or just being stopped for negative yardage. I mean, it's just tough. And this Jets offense could not throw the football. And the Dolphins finally woke up. They started to make some plays. They stopped shooting themselves in the foot. Tannehill connects with Hartline right before the half on a nice hookup. Hartline catches it, runs past the Jets defense, gets in the end zone, and that kind of got the scoring jump-started for this Dolphins football team. And they never really looked back after that Ryan Tannehill to Brian Hartline touchdown. In the second half, the Jets elected to bench Geno Smith. He threw a pick right before the half, an egregious one at that. He just had a bad game, and it's been a bad season for Geno Smith. And it all came to a head. Rex Ryan had already flirted with the idea of benching him prior to this game, but he said we're going to stick with Geno, and he had seen enough. Geno Smith wasn't moving this offense. They weren't sustaining drives. He was missing open receivers. It was bad. It was really bad in that first half. And again, they were lucky to even be in this game. Dolphins moved the football all the way down the field right before the half, and they go for it on 4th down. They can't get it. They throw a corner route to Charles Clay. It's incomplete. They end up getting that interception from Geno Smith that allows them to get the field goal right before the half. Then you get the Brian Hartline touchdown. And then you start to see them starting to get the wheels turning. You get the Mike Wallace pass out to the flats, and he breaks a tackle, gets down the sideline, gets in the end zone, does the jet. And they just ran away from them. Matt Sims comes into the game in the second half. I thought that they really kept a short leash on him as well. A lot of runs on 1st down at some point, because Chris Ivory broke off a big long run about 35 or 6 yards or so, and they were having some success running the football. How about you play action fake off of that on 1st down? Give your quarterback a chance. It's tough to ask a guy that hasn't played in an NFL game to come in and you run it on 1st down, you run it on 2nd down, and then you ask him to throw it on 3rd down. Or you run it on 1st down, you get -1 yards on the play, or you run it on 1st down and you get 2, and then you run it again on 3rd down, or 2nd down, and you get -1, and it's 3rd and 9. Now you're asking me to make a completion on 3rd and 9 when the other team knows I'm going to have to throw the football. It's not fair to the quarterback. I felt like they should have given him an opportunity to throw the ball, but this Dolphins defense was dominant in this game. And they stopped the run for the most part. Again, Jets did have a couple of possessions where they were able to run the ball, but look, if you're playing the Jets, your number one objective should be stop the run, make Geno Smith or whoever is at quarterback beat me. That should always be your number one objective when you're on the defensive side of the football. Stop the run, make Geno Smith beat me. That's your number one objective. Number one goal. going into the football game, that's your game plan. Until they make you change that game plan, that should be your game plan. Stop the run, make whoever's at the quarterback position with the limited weapons that they have out wide in New York beat you. And that's what the Dolphins did. They made the quarterbacks have to beat them, and they couldn't do it. And your end result, 23-3 beatdown of the Jets at home by the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins marched. And this is the second year in a row the Miami Dolphins have marched into New York and embarrassed the Jets. Remember last year, it was something like 30-9 at home. The special teams for the Dolphins dominated that game. They had a blocked punt. They did all these things, blocked field goal, you name it, they did it. Kickoff return for a touchdown by Thigpen. I mean, they dominated in that game. Ryan Tannehill went out on the first possession of that game, I believe, last year. And Matt Moore came in, steadied the ship, and they blew the Jets out last year. They did the same thing here, except Ryan Tannehill was able to play for the whole entire game, and they just took it to them. Again, if not for the mistakes early on, the missed field goal because of the penalty and the sack on that first possession, if not for Tannehill getting hit and getting picked off by Cromartie, if not for them not being able to get in from the 1 yard line, going for it on fourth down, throwing the corner route and not getting it, if not for all of those shortcomings by the Dolphins early in this football game, this is a 37-3 type of ball game. I mean, this is an absolute shellacking at the hands of the Dolphins. However, they made some mistakes, allowed the Jets to hang around for a while. But again, this Jets team isn't very good to me. It's amazing that they have 5 wins, but that's a testament to the strength of this defense and how well they've been able to play all season long. For me, Geno Smith has only had one good game to me, and that's against Atlanta on Monday Night Football, where he was tremendous. Other than that, I feel like he's been a caretaker of this offense, and his defense has been carrying this team along. But there's only going to be so far you can go without offensive production and without production from your quarterback position. And I think the Jets have finally gotten to that point where you got to get your quarterback to produce, or you can't go any further in this quest to try to make the playoffs. I think they've reached that limit, and now the Jets are going to probably level off and start to plummet at the end of this season because, again, it's starting to get to the nitty-gritty. This was Showdown Sunday. You needed to prove that you belong in the discussion when people are discussing the AFC playoffs and that 6th seed. You need to go out and prove that you belong in that discussion. A win here would have done that, would have got you back to 500 at 6-6, would have put you right there in the thick of things in that race. Instead, you dropped to 5-7, and now I think it's just downhill from here for the Jets. This is an ugly loss. You still got to go to Miami. It's not going to be any easier there, and you are lost at the quarterback position. You benched Geno Smith, so I don't know what you're going to do there. It's just all bad right now in New York. But if you're the Dolphins, big win. You went, you took care of business. And again, I said this is a dangerous Miami Dolphins team. And I think the offensive line is starting to get better because, again, Tannehill had time in this game. But what was even more impressive was they were able to run the football with a little bit of success in this game. No Daniel Thomas. He's gone for the rest of the year. But Lamar Miller was able to have a little bit of success. Again, he was terrible a week ago against Carolina. And this Jets defense is even better against the run than Carolina. And he was able to have a little bit of success. That opened up some things, and that gave Tannehill a little bit of time. And I thought the offensive line provided him with some time in this game to find guys. And I thought he was very efficient when he had time. And the Dolphins got it done in this game, 23-3. They go to 6-6 on the season. And this is why you got to beat teams when you're at home. You had the Ravens on the ropes earlier in the season. Ravens currently hold that 6th seed in the AFC playoffs. If you beat them at home earlier in the season when you had a chance, you'd be in the playoffs right now instead of the Baltimore Ravens because they own the tiebreaker over you. That's why they still currently hold that 6th seed and you don't, even though you guys have the same record. But if you're the Dolphins, just keep stacking up wins like bricks. And at the end, you let them sort through the mess and let them tell you if you did enough to get in and get a ticket to the dance or not. But big win on the road against an AFC East opponent. You handled your family business the way you're supposed to. You told the Jets to sit down and shut up in the corner, and you took care of it. So now you're 6-6. You got a great shot to really make some noise down the stretch. You got to keep winning football games, but this was a big win on the road within the division if you are the Miami Dolphins. So that's going to do it for this edition of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. I've got plenty more games to break down on Showdown Sunday, Week 13 of the National Football League.